When it comes to stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there isn't really a strongly defined way to quantify how powerful one stand is. Because you see, there are many stands that people have deemed extremely powerful, but are actually basically useless if you think about them. And then you also have some stands that people don't even consider when they think of strong stands, or they just completely ignore that these stands actually end up being incredibly busted. One of the best examples actually of these busted stands that goes mostly ignored is that of the armored Italian shark, Clash, and his stand user, Squalo. Squalo and Tiziano are the first of Diavolo's personal bodyguards that we get introduced to in the second half of Vento Aria. Now, it is hard to talk about one of them without mentioning the other, as they were designed together as a pair. And if you want me to, I will do a partner video to this video focusing more on Tiziano and his talking heads. So yes, returning focus to Squalo, whose name actually means shark in Italian, which is actually quite fitting both because of his stand, but also based on his actions in the story. And yes, of course, the design of his stand is being the most obvious reflection of his name being shark, but also Squalo being the most bloodthirsty of the two assassins during his arc also plays into this, as he stalks and hunts his prey much like sharks do, and then his stand appears out of nowhere, causes fear and thins herds, and then disappears out of sight only to strike again when prey have let their guards down, making him and his stand quick and deadly. Now, design-wise, Squalo is very, how do I put it, interesting. He has a long striped onesie with armored shoulder pads, which play into his armory design of his stand, and lastly he has a headband holding what I can only assume is just a mess. His hair is banded off in multiple different directions, and it basically results in the second worst haircut in all of Part 5. Like, seriously, Squalo, you look like you just pulled your hair out of a fucking pasta salad. Fix your do, my dude. But getting back onto the topic of sharks, in fact, actually, Squalo takes a lot after sharks and how they hunt, given the fact that he works better in packs, or with a group. This is because his stand is actually very powerful, but only against an opponent one-on-one. Because when it is hunting its prey, it does expose itself to outside attacks, and it doesn't have an unbreakable defense. I mean, specifically against piercing attacks, but we'll get into that later. Though in a one-on-one, Squalo's stand is nearly unbeatable, so you never want to find yourself clashing with Squalo's Clash. Clash is a long-range ostracoderm or shell-skinned shaped stand. It appears to have 3 eyes, 2 on the side and 1 in the middle, and the size of Clash is undetermined as it makes its shape different depending on the body of water it appears in. Now, its movement and ability don't also seem to be affected by its increased size or its decreased size, which makes it very dangerous and a threat to anyone it's hunting. Now, stats-wise, it has a D in destructive power, A in speed, B in range, A in durability, A in precision, and C in speed. Wait a minute. Clash has 2 abilities, though one of them is actually a lot more helpful than the other. The first major ability is Razor Sharp Teeth. The teeth are strong enough to eviscerate metal spoons, rip Neurontia's tongue out in a single swipe, and completely disable Giorno in a single attack. Squalo also claims that his stand can completely shred people, though the teeth would be weak on their own if not paired up with Clash's second ability. That second ability is called Water Warping. Clash has the ability to appear in any body of water, no matter the size, this being because Clash also changes size to fit the body of water that they appear into. Though the scariest part about this is when Clash grabs hold of someone, that person is also water warped along with Clash, dragging them into the watery void below. Clash can water warp with someone and resurface in any body of water elsewhere. Basically, imagine a shark jumping out and pulling you into a puddle. That's how fucking terrifying Clash can be. Now, of course, if the body of water isn't big enough for the person and Clash is injured or lets go of the person, they will slowly be poured out of the water. But the reason that this is so dangerous is, well, actually, let's make a comparison. Hey, you remember when Geb grabbed that Speedwagon Foundation guy and just pulled his entire head inside of a canteen? Yeah, well now imagine that, but with your entire body being forced into that tiny little canteen. Do I need to explain more? And it's also possible, kind of like how there's such a thing as telefragging, that if Clash grabbed you and brought you into a smaller body of water than that your body can fit into, and then let go of you, if the rest of your body would not be instantly cut off by the separation between you and Clash in the warp. So it's also very possible that Clash can just fucking telefrag you. If Clash grabs you, you lose. That's it. Clash wins. Now, why Squalo doesn't just grab people and pull them in, I don't know. I guess it would raise suspicion, so he tries to separate the group, kind of like how sharks hunt, is where you need to separate the group and then pick them off one at a time. Just completely one strike eliminating people. And I mean, specifically in his arc, he was trying to target Giarno, but because he originally went after Narancia first, he ended up taking on more than he could chew. Though, with this, Clash also finds itself having a major fatal flaw. It is incredibly fragile. Though, there is a problem since it does have an A in durability, but it can't really take much of a beating. It is the definition of a glass cannon. But it is possible that the A in durability actually refers to the armor plating, as it's a lot like scale mail or plate mail, giving it more of a defense against blunt attacks. So I imagine if it got like aura rushed or punched a lot, that it wouldn't take nearly as much damage as like a piercing attack like Narancia's bullets. So the name Clash comes from the new wave British punk rock band, The Clash, which came into popularity around 1977. Now again, I have to mention Talking Head alongside Clash to help us understand why these two were chosen together as stands. So, during the time of the musical renaissance of the New Wave movement, two bands arose to fame in the same genre but in different ways. These bands being The Clash and Talking Heads, which were viewed as two sides of one coin. Both of the bands were considered punk and new wave, but for very different reasons.
To see The Clash is exciting, even crazy. They're singing "We're a Garage Band." The garage is where there are no slick studio sounds, big money, record contracts, or publicity. They'll even die for the cause.
Americans have forgotten what rock and roll is about, and so that's what we're doing here. We're trying to remind them.
It ain't about playing the right chord for a start.
If punk ain't about playing the right chords, what is it? It's anger, energy, politics. New wave means loud rock and roll dance band like the Ramones. It means the angry punk politics of The Clash, and it also means a sort of intellectual art rock typified by the Talking Heads.
I think we get called intellectual or cerebral or whatever. Probably just because our words and the way we dress and whatnot is a little different than the rock stereotype.
Talking Heads was known for their methodical choice of words in their songs and the way they would sing that would help them get across their message, where Clash was known for their anger and loud approach to music, which their bands and fans were known to completely demolish the place that they were performing in. This energy made them iconic in the punk music scene. So this of course translates perfectly to Clash and Talking Head, as Talking Head and Tiziano are the thinkers of the group. They're the people who make the plans, where Squalo is the muscle or damage dealer of the group, the person who gets the job done. They're two sides of one coin, and they only work the most effective when they're together, because without one, the other would be lacking in severe ways. Because The Clash and Talking Heads helped equalize and balance out both sides of one genre of music, allowing there to be a big middle ground between them. If only one rose to fame and the other one failed and fell off, then it would be a complete imbalance in the punk music industry. And of course, Clash the Stand fits very well with The Clash's first studio album, The Clash London Calling, which features songs like Remote Control, White Riot, Hate and War, Hateful, and many more that fit the violent theme of Squalo and his stand Clash. And not to mention, Remote Control does give us a glimpse into kind of how the stand works at a distance. And also why, instead of making Clash an actual remote control stand, given that Remote Control the song actually has a negative history with the band The Clash, So that means that Squalo has to deal with that negative history by taking the damage that his stand does, instead of turning it into a remote control stand. If the band The Clash had embraced the song Remote Control, I feel like Rocky may have possibly made it so Clash was actually a remote control stand. So The Clash is actually up there as one of the most powerful stands in the entirety of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Just Squalo wasn't using it nearly as effective as he could have been. If he focused purely on one-on-ones and slowly just taking out one member of the crew after another, he could have easily been successful on his own. And honestly, the stand was only given its most deadly ability because Araki wanted a stand that could demonstrate the beauty of Venezia. But can you imagine if he, instead of teaming up with Tiziano, teamed up with someone like Endul? Like, an Endul Squalo fucking combo is unbeatable. You got fucking the distance of Geb, and then you have Clash that can appear inside of Geb. It's fucking nutso. But if you enjoyed this video and want to help support more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon over at patreon.com/ManyNotTheBadGuy. And if you want yourself to end up clashing with your inner demons and defeating them, coming out on top, and being the successful shark of your own inner ocean, head over to Funimation.com/show/Shimonetta. A boring world when it comes to dirty jokes doesn't exist, and get yourself a copy of Shimonetta Blu-ray, and then go fight Passion.